The US budgeting process involves planning, allocating, and managing government funds to meet public needs and priorities. The President proposes a budget to Congress, outlining spending and revenue estimates for the upcoming fiscal year. Congress debates and modifies the budget, considering various factors like economic conditions, social programs, defense, and infrastructure. The final budget must be approved by both the House of Representatives and the Senate before becoming law. The budget is divided into mandatory spending entitlements and discretionary spending government programs and agencies. Major entitlements include Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, which have predetermined funding levels based on eligibility and formulas. Discretionary spending covers various sectors such as defense, education, healthcare, and transportation. The government raises revenue through taxes, including income, corporate, and payroll taxes, as well as tariffs and fees. Deficit occurs when expenditures exceed revenues, lending to borrowing through issuing treasuries, bonds, and other debt instruments. The national debt is the cumulative total of deficits and represents the government's owed money to creditors. The Treasury Department manages the debt, issuing bonds and repaying them over time. Fiscal policy decisions impact economic growth, inflation, and unemployment. The budgeting process involves forecasting economic indicators to estimate revenue and expenditure. The Congressional Budget Office provides non-partisan analysis of budgetary matters. Balanced budget amendments have been proposed to limit deficit spending. Sequestration is a mechanism that enforces spending cuts if budget targets are not met. Budget negotiations often involve political debates over priorities and compromises. Government shutdowns can occur if budget agreements are not reached, leading to temporary suspensions of non-essential services. The fiscal year begins on October 1 and ends on September 30. Budget allocations may shift based on changing national and international circumstances. Emergency funding can be allocated for unforeseen events like natural disasters or national crises. The President's annual State of the Union address often highlights budget priorities. The public can influence budgeting through advocacy and lobbying. Earmarks allocate funds for specific projects, often criticized for potential misuse. Budget transparency and accountability are crucial for maintaining public trust. Federal agencies manage allocated funds and report spending to Congress. Auditing and oversight help ensure funds are used appropriately. Federal Reserve policies can influence interest rates, affecting borrowing costs for the government. Discretionary spending can be subject to the appropriations process, where Congress designates funds for specific programs. Mandatory spending can be difficult to alter due to legal obligations. Entitlement reforms may aim to control long-term spending growth. Budget deficits can lead to concerns about sustainability and potential negative impacts on future generations. International economic conditions can impact revenue from trade and global markets. Revenue fluctuations can affect budget projections and fiscal stability. The US government aims to balance economic growth with responsible fiscal management. Tax policy changes can influence revenue collection and economic behavior. Budgetary constraints can affect the government's ability to respond to crises effectively. Economic stimulus packages can provide temporary budget boosts during recessions. The budget can reflect national priorities such as infrastructure investment or social welfare programs. Political ideologies often shape budget debates, with different parties advocating for distinct fiscal approaches. Interest payments on the national debt consume a significant portion of the budget. High levels of debt relative to GDP can raise concerns about fiscal sustainability. The Treasury Department auctions bonds to raise funds and meet financial obligations. The government's credit rating can impact borrowing costs and investor confidence. Technological advancements and demographic shifts can influence budget consideration. Budget negotiations can lead to compromises involving trade offs between different spending categories. The budgeting process involves collaboration between executive and legislative branches. Emergency funding for crises like pandemics can require swift legislative action. The budget reflects the government's role in addressing societal challenges and promoting economic stability. Ongoing evolution and adjustment of the budget are essential for effective money management and meeting the nation's needs.